we have an absolute treat for you. We have Pradeep Soundarajan with us. He's the founder and CEO of Moolya Testing and Apache. But what's more important, he's all round a great speaker. And we're super lucky to have him here with us today. Now, Pradeep happens to be on a mission to build a software testing startup that solves the fundamental and unaddressed pain points in testing today, ones that maybe even we have open in here at SAP. He brings with him over 15 years of experience as a hands-on tester, a test consultant, and now finally as a businessman. His startup, Moolya Testing, is a CDT-inspired testing service that has clients across the globe and over 200 testers. We welcome Mr. Pradeep on stage.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the intro. Well, thanks for the intro, and I think set an unusually high standard saying great speaker, blah, blah, blah. I don't know yet. Every day is different. Okay, Virat Kohli gets out, gets actually duck out. So if you see that's the first match you see him, you'll not think that he knows how to bat. So only at the end we'll be able to know whether I'm a good speaker or not. But for now, I love the themes that your management has picked. Whoever has been in the committee to have picked those themes, you've done a wonderful job. Because, and I'm not saying this because I'm invited. Usually, I'm someone. The reason I think people call me is because I call a spade a spade. That's what a tester is supposed to be, unfortunately. Right? And I really love these themes. These are the themes running in my mind. So I'm really happy that you have the right themes running in this company, and that's a very good sign for you to stay here. Very good sign for you to stay here. So that's one. The other thing is about, this. So I started my career as a tester in a startup. And that's the best thing to happen to me, and that's the worst thing to happen to me, right? The best thing, well, we talk about that later, but first for the worst thing. I could never fit into any of the enterprises, right? I could never fit into any of these enterprises. Every time I joined an enterprise, they fired me, right? And here is an example of it. I worked with Motorola. You've all heard of that company, right? Yeah. So I worked with Motorola. This was in 2005. And I joined as a tester after all that induction thing, which you want to get rid of usually. You will go and, finally I got a few phones to test. And then with my excitement as a tester, I found a bug. And I wanted to report it. And this large enterprise, Motorola, had this thing that if you want to report a bug, you have to find a matching test case and matching requirement, right? And so, I don't know if it's a bug or not. It is. It's a crash. So I go to my lead on the day one of testing and show this bug and say, hey, I found this bug, but in the bug reporting system, it says that I have to, find a matching test case. Can you help me find a matching test case? And there was no matching test case for that. So, and then the lead suggested that it's okay, try to map it with this, it looks very similar. And I mapped it, and then the bug got rejected, saying that it's not, because the test case, steps, and the bugs, steps are different, right? Now, what do I do as a tester? What do you usually do when you log a bug and it gets rejected? What do you do? What do you do? Move on in life, huh? Well, isn't it true? Most of the testers, they just move on in life as though nothing happened in life, right? And that's the reason why the number of bugs reported versus accepted, there's a huge variance in every company that I've worked with. It's not just because they were not bugs, it's just because probably they didn't have the bandwidth to fix those things, right? So I take this crash, Can I go and say, well, which test case should I map it to? And then again I go back to my lead and say, hey, where do I map this to? And then I talked about the impact and I talked about the recurrence of this bug. And then he said, oh my God, it's a serious problem, but shh. Why? Shh. What is this happening over here? So he said, in case, if I were to now add a test case, then I will get questions of why I missed this test case because the test cases have already been signed off, right? The word sign off, you've heard of sign off? You got used to that, right? Yeah, this magical word called sign off. Then, there was this thing that if now I were to say that I missed this test case, it'll look bad on me, so shh, right? And the too many of whoosh, whoosh, what happened with Motorola? Motorola became whoosh. Now that is true, right? In 2005, there were two top companies selling mobile phones, Nokia and Motorola. Whoosh. Right? Why? I mean, think about it. Okay, think about it. A company as big as SAP, Motorola had a very strong foundation. They made some of the first microprocessors that you would have used. You would have learned about. And they went to Usha. How is that possible? How is that possible? Right? This is now the reason. Now it's not just because of bugs. It's not just because of they did whoosh to bugs that they whoosh off. Right? The culture. The culture. This example that I gave is an example of a culture of a company. The way you treat this, the way you respond to these things, the way you silence people off, all of this is a part of culture. Now, if you want to bring in transformation into this company, and how do you overcome your bad practices? How do you overcome your old bad practices, right? How do we overcome our old bad practices? Like, for instance, some of you, we all come, I mean, most of you, I assume, is from, middle-class families. Anybody from Ambani? Akash here? No Akash here? Right? So most of us come from middle-class families where we have seen a lot of certain constraints, certain limitations. Now, when we come to a corporate like this, we discover how to use a restroom. Right? I'm damn serious about it. Okay, I discovered, should I open the lid or should I not open the lid? I'm sure you learned that after starting to work. Don't tell me that you did learn this at home. So for us, we needed to change our environment in order for us to overcome our bad practices. But even now, many of them have not overcome. How many bubble gums do you see? Right? If people can't overcome the bubble gum in the toilet, then I don't think it is possible just because someone says we have to transform, that you will transform. It's not possible. Just don't try to bullshit that. If you think bullshit is a wrong word, is a bad word, cow dung, pure word. Because that's what bullshit is. Right? In India, cow dung is such a sacred thing. Now, the moment I said bullshit, there was a silence. It was like, oh my God, he used the word BS in this company? Well, cow dung, pure now. If we have purified the bullshit with the cow dung, that's what cow dung does. Right? So it's for me, unless we change the culture, unless you fix the culture, all of this innovation is just not going to help. One. Now, this is enterprises. So I became vexed with enterprise. I could not just fit into enterprises. So then I thought, okay, I'll go back to startups. So I founded a company called Moolya Testing. And we decided to exclusively work with startups. And we picked some of the startups, whose names I'm just going to mention after I have some water. Right. So we said, We are this agile company. We don't do this BS. This is how we think. This is how we test. Okay, this is how we approach testing. So a lot of startups got excited about us and they came to us and we partnered with them. And we have Flipkart, Paytm, Snapdeal, Ola, to the latest Cred. All of these are our customers for the kind of thinking approach that we try to bring in. I was thinking, great, I've gotten rid of all the enterprises in my life, and my life is very good. But here is the other side of the story. Okay, startups, like the bug, case. Plenty of these, startups hire cool-looking, nice-talking, high-fundo engineers. Okay, if you go and sit without looking cool, irrespective of your talent, you may not get the job offer. Right? I'm not recommending you to go there. All I'm saying is this, that when we started working with all of these, startups, and they are obsessed to automation, they want everything to be automated, right? They don't want to see humans testing. So this obsession of automation made them to continuously hire these so-called SDETs and automation engineers at such a fast pace without having the necessary layers to build it, right? So here's what happened. Everybody who comes in, they come in with their ideas, and nobody, some of you said, okay, we do automation over here, right? Nobody wants to write automation scripts. Everybody wants to work on the framework. Nobody wants to write the script. Who eventually ends up writing the script is the person who doesn't know how to program, right? The so-called manual testers who fear of what will happen are the ones who kind of try to pick some things up and end up writing. Now, no matter how beautiful you build the framework, if the script is poor, right? As you mentioned, it's not just about test automation. It's about the quality aspect of it. Okay, that gets missed out. And here's what happened. And I was looking at one of the automation. Here's how the script works, right? It starts with something. Then suddenly one XPath is referenced. Suddenly there's a U-turn and there is an ID. There's an accessibility ID that's referenced. Suddenly there's another U-turn and XPath. So the script switches between XPath and ID and XPath and ID. And by the time the script gets over, nobody knows what happens, right? And here is what happened. This company spent $1 million to build this automation thing, and then they had a few people who were maintaining it. Now, one of the persons, so if you maintain automation, you will see green, right? All right, absolutely. And unfortunately, nobody has told this truth to the business people. Automation is more manual job today than manual testing. Look at the resonance. Look at the resonance out there. So here's what happened. In one of this funded startup, Series A funded startup, that fellow was maintaining, decided to get married. Went to his marriage, and by the time he came back, all the green had become red. Right? Then I said, oh my goodness. One said enterprises are screwing my life like this. On the other side, startups are screwing my life like this. So what should I do? So here's what I've done. I looked at all the good practices that are there in the enterprises. I had built a hate for enterprises, but then I said, no. I must have been blind. I must have been biased. As a tester, that's the worst thing I can do to myself. So I said, I will go learn what is good in enterprises. So I went back to enterprises, and we learned something beautiful about enterprises. The kind of project management that is happening in the enterprises is fabulous. It is impossible for a company like SAP to be so successful and continue to be successful without the project management layer. And that project management layer is absolutely missing in startups. In the startups, there is absolute chaos, and you must know how to deal with chaos. You must be like the Kung Fu Panda, the inner peace, where everybody's fighting over there, and you just have to say, well, I am ready, right? That's the kind of approach that some of the startups are trying to breed, because they're hiring too fast. There is no time to build teams. According to them, hiring teams means building teams. No. No, it takes a long time to build teams. That is also what I learned from enterprises. In enterprises, people build teams. In startups, people hire teams. There's a lot of difference. So we decided to bring in the project management layer. We decided to learn all of these aspects of it. And then look at what's good in the startups, though. In the startups, there is no time for cow dung, right? If you have to, now here's one thing I did. I did a lot of experiments. That's also why I got fired in the past. This was before this gray hair that you see. So I was working in a company which was about a kilometer from here, right? Not that I don't want to name them. I don't want to shame them, right? So there was a water bottle in my desk, and I thought, let me test the help desk system. And I said, there's no water in my water bottle, right? The help desk people assigned it to somebody, and then it went to my manager for approval. Wow, right? Wow. I mean, that's how much. That's how some of the enterprise red tape I hate. Now, if you want to reinvent, if you want to grow at a faster rate, as what we just suggested, you have to cut out all of that in your team. Now, you don't try to go change the help desk. Cut that out in your team. You might be oblivious to what you might be doing in your team. So if you cut that cow dung in your team, you will move fast. You will understand. And with these 2 pointers, I just want to reiterate these 2 pointers. Culture, changing of the culture, and fixing these aspects, fixing your own biases will help you take step 1. Then there is a step 2. The one thing that I loved about this theme, right? I want to just go hug this theme. This is the most beautiful theme in my life I've actually seen. And I'll tell you why, right? So we talk about the other beautiful thing that I think Vijay said is about, he did this exercise about show of hands and said, oh, how many of your automation, how many of your this, how many of your that, and then said, everybody have to be a quality team, right? Where does that really start from? And why? I really am skeptic whether it's SAP or any other company that can achieve that, because it starts from unit testing. Unit testing is the best joke I've heard in my life, right? So how can, now I'm glad there are a few developers over here. Now, why are the developers doing? I went and talked to them saying, like, half of them don't like testing, okay? Whether it's unit testing, whatever testing. So that's something that we need to change about. Okay, the rest half of them want to do, but there is business pressure to move fast. Now, if a 3-month cycle is changed to a 1-month cycle, even the ones who are doing unit testing are going to skip it, right? Now then how can we achieve quality first then? So these are questions you need to ask. And I'm sure you will find answers, because there is enough wisdom in here. If you have people who have been able to come up with these themes, then there is wisdom in this company. I believe that, right? And for me, having spoken so open, if I'm appreciating these themes, you can't take it by the word that I'm saying, that this is the most beautiful theme for a testing hackathon that I've seen. And I really appreciate that. With that, I want to end. And thank you very much for inviting me over. And if there is time for any question, I'd be happy to take. But if there's no time, I don't take any offense. I've been a tester. I take no. And I'm fine with that. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We do have time for like 1 or 2 questions if people have any.
Okay. That was a hesitant saying, but I appreciate
we
that.
We do have time. If
we do have time.
Questions.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Hi, Ellen. Hi. Any questions? Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to challenge? Anything that I've said? Anything you want to know? Anything you want to discover? Okay. Yes, please. Oh, that's a very, very good question. There's, what's that? I'm just curious to know, what's that? Oh, that's the mic?
It's a mic.
Oh,
You can,
interesting,
throw it at people.
interesting. I've never done a talk with that mic. I can do a talk with this mic, right?
Yeah, you can do it.
Let me just, oh, just throw at them? Hello, okay. Okay, that's nice. I just wanted to try this out. Okay, thank you very much. So that was a very good question. And the connecting to why I love that, theme, right? Here is the way I look at testing. And then we'll come to the automation part of it. Because what you people have been doing is test automation, correct? Right? You can automate a software without testing it. That, right? Most of your scripts already does that. It just shows the video, and for the business people, they're like, wow, I love seeing my product. Of course, you love seeing your product, no doubt about it. So for me, testing, where does testing begin from? Okay, testing begins from what's your customer wanting to do. Like for instance, here's what I would do. If I were in your shoes, I would say, what does Harley Davidson want to accomplish, okay, with this, 6 hours rollout? How does it translate, to me? And the way I would use it is I would use it by saying, hey, this bug, I won't sell the bug like this is a crash, this is a hang. I would sell this bug that this will cost Harley Davidson, right? It's like, I want to do it, right? So that's the reason why we have to use from the start of the requirement and the analysis and the questioning and, precipitating this to the next layer. Okay, and then comes your, test data preparation. Here comes your test environment. Then comes about brainstorming about what, test ideas. Then comes about mapping some of these, test ideas to the quality criteria, right? Now, we still haven't come to the test part of it. There are so many things to do even before the testing part, which means all of this chunk can also have a scope of automation. But nobody is looking at that. People get obsessed to Selenium, people get obsessed to all of those, tools, and they want to learn those tools because so for me, here's how I profile testers. Testers who want to learn so that they can get the next job. And the testers who want to learn because they want to solve the problems in the current company they are in. Right? So some of the examples that I can give you is we have built a lot of tools. We have built, tools which automates the reporting of what a tester does, right? Okay, this tool is called, Bagasura. This is both for the mobile app and web apps. So what it does is as you test, right? The biggest pain point for the so-called manual testers is the documentation part of it, right? So one of the things that we have done is that this keeps taking a screenshot, and this keeps logging everything you've clicked, everything you've typed, and it is actually presented out as a video so that nobody needs to write steps to reproduce. Right? That's the beautiful statement I hate in testing. Because many developers have told, come and reproduce in front of me. I don't want to do that, right? So the point is that all of this is captured, including the logs, including the crashes. Now, if you think the tester is a very valuable asset, this helps in automating the reporting part so that the tester can go focus on running more important tests. Now there is more time for the tester. Okay, this is one part of it. Okay, there is another part. Asking questions is very important, right? So one of the tester in my company has built a Slack bot, wherein it asks the most important questions, for every sprint, which most of them take it for granted. The first few, the first few weeks in a company, we learn. After that, we take a lot of things for granted. There is a Slack bot which keeps reminding, hey, do you know this happened? Do you know this happened? Okay, are you testing for this? As he mentioned, there was some E2 issue or something like that. Do you think this bug is related to E2? Do you think this can cause an E2 situation? That's how you can automate a whole lot of stuff. That's the reason why I liked, right, wherever it went, right? That focusing on productivity of people who are of value. That's very critical for a company. So there are so many other things in the word called, testing to automate, that people are just looking at running test part of it. So whenever somebody tells me, I have done, test automation. In my ear, I have a filter. I hear it as test execution automation. I don't hear it as test automation because test is so wide and you can't just pick that part of it and say, I have automated the whole testing. So that's my response. It's for you to think about and build more tools. And I really want to congratulate all of those people who have participated in the hackathon. I think I'm run up on the time. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pradeep, for an
Pradeep,
insightful...
actually, you could stay on stage for just a second.
Well, you're going to crucify me for saying anything?
No, even better.
Okay.
For an amazing and insightful session.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
It just worked out
guess,
today.
I guess we all know now two main important points that startups have, enterprises have a lot to learn from startups, and startups have a lot to learn from enterprises.
Absolutely.
And
It's finding
you have
a mid-path.
found a mid-path. And how eminent
I'm trying to find a mid-path. I'm just being humble there. I'm just being humble.
And how eminent it is for all of us to get those tech-savvy testing strategies that startups have with our team building capabilities that we have and put it together for a better test engineering environment. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye. See ya.
And I would like to call Mahesh
wait a second.
Nayak and Rishabh on stage for presenting a memento.
Oh, to me?
Yeah,
Okay.
to Pradeep.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Great talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.